What's good, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Cover One Film Room, part, of course, of the Cover One Sports Network. I'm one of your two hosts this evening, Anthony Prohaska, joined by Eric Turner. And Eric, we've done this cool thing a lot recently where, everybody knows on the show, we like to talk ball and X's and O's and scheme. Anytime you laugh, it makes me laugh. I can't contain myself. And the only thing cooler and better than doing that regularly is when we get to bring in NFL players, specifically Buffalo Bills, because this is a Bills focused show, and get to talk ball with them and break stuff down. And last season, in season and in the off season, we did that several times. We started to do it again here this off season. We sat down with Kyrie Elam several weeks ago, and then Greg Rousseau the week after that. And then we thought, what would be an awesome way to follow that up potentially is bringing somebody back who we had on in season last year. And it would be really cool to bring somebody in for their second appearance. And just in case people don't know who that is, or in case they didn't read the show title, who might that be?
Yeah, that's Mr. DaQuan Jones. DaQuan, appreciate you joining us again, man. Leading into this show, we talked about, your season last year with the Bills, and we kind of coined you as the unsung hero, the, most underrated player on the Bills, man. And that's why we love to bring you back in the film room to break down some of this film. And it's the trenches, DaQuan. Like, who doesn't love talking ball and talking about film in the trenches?
Right. Thank you for having me again, man. I appreciate it. You guys have been showing me love all year, even before I signed. So anything you guys need from me, I'm gonna be here and do as many of these you want. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Much love, man. We appreciate it. And we wouldn't be doing our job, DaQuan. We're gonna hit you with a question right now. We're gonna heat you up right off the bat, but then kind of cool down until we get to the film to heat you up a little more. But let me ask you, man, because it's come across our social media timeline when we, announced that you were going to join us. Have the Bills reached out to you or your contacts in regards to an extension or a new contract, brother?
Yeah, we had some talks early in the offseason, and right now we're just, kind of working it out and see what we can do. And, right now that's my agent's job. That's why we pay him all that money to go out there and handle that and try to figure that out. But, there's been some talk. And we know what the team's looking like right now as far as cap space and money wise. So we understand it. So kind of just gonna take it day by day and really just see what we can do, see what we can work out, and if there's something we can work out, let's do it. And if not, then it is what it is. But hopefully we can get something done.
That's a really interesting point. I wasn't expecting to answer or ask a contract related question here, but just you mentioned it like that. Is that something that players? Are you guys cognizant and aware of the team that you're on, what the cap space looks like? Is that something that you're normally aware of and knowing okay, this might affect if I resign here or going somewhere else? Is that something you guys are aware of as players in the league?
Yeah, I would hope so. I hope that people have the knowledge of what's going on around them and what the team's doing and how they're building up and the moves they're making. I mean, I think that's important to know as a player, especially young players too, going into a contract year. Kind of just knowing what the team's looking like and what they need, what they want, who they need to bring in, who they need to get rid of, stuff like that. It's important, for me, especially going to year 10, to make sure that I know where I'm at and I know I'm doing my job well. So I think it's important.
And one of the guys that the Bills brought in to play next to you, maybe even back you up at times, is Poona Ford. And so this guy, I mean, to me, he's just like a rock. He looks very difficult to move. So I know you've had limited interactions with him in practices so far, and camp's right around the corner. But kind of give us an idea what you're hearing, what you're seeing from him, and how he's going to be used in this defense, and maybe how he could even help your game.
Yeah, I mean, I think just seeing him on the film over the last couple of years, and seeing him in OTAs. He got some stuff to him, so I'm excited to see what he does. When pads come on, especially in the system. I think Eric Washington does a great job of getting guys in here on the D line, and then coaching them up and getting them ready for this type of system, which is the attack system. I think he'll thrive in it, and I think just having more guys on the inside, healthy, ready to go, can kind of help this year as far as all the rotations and stuff like that. So I think they'll do a hell of a job, and I'm excited to see what we're gonna do in training camp.
Beautiful. And DaQuan, we got a really good question from the chat from AJ. So AJ says, was it easy to assimilate into McDermott / Leslie Frazier's defense? And why do you think you were an instant impact year one player on the Bills defense?
At first it was kind of difficult because I was breaking, 8 years of technique of kind of reading and reacting two gap and playing the 3-4 and going back in and playing the 4-3 like I did in college. But for me, once I got in a rhythm of playing that attack defense, it kind of just all came back, muscle memory, and my play style is more for an aggressive one technique and attack off the ball. So it just suits my style of play, and it's something I've been earning for like my entire career. So when I got here, I seized the opportunity in the moment and kind of took full advantage of it.
Beautiful. Yeah. And, like we've shown so many of your clips and plays throughout the entire season last year. And then obviously having you back in this year for another time. And the title of this episode be like the unsung hero of the Buffalo Bills defense. You legitimately had a standout season in year one for the Bills. Like, no lie, we're not just saying it because you're on the show. Like, you crushed it. You had a great year. But everything you said just now, right? Like, you had to kind of break at 8 years of technique and training to assimilate into this defense. Now you're going into year two, another year in this system. How does that benefit you going into this season, knowing that, you don't have to necessarily focus on breaking technique going into this season because you did that last year. Now you're almost kind of hitting the ground running. And considering how strong of a year you had last year, what does that mean for you this year?
That can focus more on like the actual, defense and what we're calling and kind of just learn, where my safeties are, where they're fitting, where my linebackers are fitting, stuff like that. So I know what kind of block combination I'm going to get versus certain, nickel front, whatever it is, man zone, whatever. I'm going to know what kind of block I'm going to get. And being able to kind of, fully understand that more is going to help my game out a lot. So it's taking it to that next level.
Beautiful.
And we had another good question here from Rick, and I'll kind of spin off of that. He asked, how much has the defense grown during your career? And I know last year was like your first year in the defense, and McDermott's now taking over for Leslie Frazier. I want to know, maybe not necessarily the differences between the two defenses that you played in or the schemes that you played in, but how has defensive schemes evolved since you've been in the league? That's the overarching picture of how defense has changed in the NFL since you came in.
I don't think they changed that much. I mean, I coming in and playing in a Dick LeBeau defense and playing a 3-4 fire zone scheme. I mean, I think you learn as a player, like, it kind of all carries over. People just kind of add their own twist to it. I mean, a lot of the blitz packages are the same. It's just, different, how you coach the coverage, and, some guys might have a preference on, how they do a certain hook drop or, curl drop, and that stuff might be a little different. They're making calls, but really, the concepts are pretty much the same, no matter where you go and what scheme you're in, as far as like the actual defense itself.
Right. No, absolutely. And so we want to get into some of the stats. We're going to break down some of the stats. We're going to obviously dive into the film. And so we brought, Andrew Stasel, our analytics guy, he brought in some stats, some splits from the season, and when you were on the field versus when you were off the field. And we're talking run defense first at the top, and you can see opposing offenses only averaged 3.7 yards per attempt when you were on the field versus, 5 yards per attempt when you were off the field. The opposing offense had a better positive rush percentage rate when you were off the field at 45% versus 38% when you're on the field. And then rushing yards before contact per attempt it was nearly double when you were off the field versus on the field. So, we always talked about the mentality of stopping the run, with you going into last season and even during the season. What do you think? How do you think your play kind of developed in that area as the season went on last year? Because a lot of the numbers, the splits are obviously in your favor, and which is why, again, we said you're the unsung hero of the Bills. So, kind of what changed over the course of the year and how things developed for you when it came to run defense?
I think just, getting familiar with the blocking concept that I was going to get based off what defense we were playing. Again, it goes to going into year two, knowing what I have behind me, knowing where my nickels fit and where my mics fit, where my wheels fit. And if you can kind of pick up that knowledge of the game, it helps you out a lot, and kind of know what's coming, and knowing how offensively a team's gonna attack you. Because a lot of time when you get a motion or a jet motion, you don't know what's going on, but at the same time when you watch film and kind of know how they want to attack you, how they're going to get you, take a picture of it. You kind of pay attention to who motions and who does that stuff, and it kind of starts coming along. It's more like a feel of the game. So for me, I just feel like kind of just knowing all that stuff is really gonna help and kind of improve this even more. So the next goal is just kind of keep that going throughout the room.
Those pieces that you just talked about in relation to run defense, I kind of want you to expand on just the science of run fit. Obviously, there's the physical aspect of it. And the last time we had you on the show, you talked about the mentality of playing run defense. Like, it's a mentality. But talk about the science and just like how complicated run fits are as a defense. Because I feel like so many people, I asked a similar question to Greg Rousseau when we had him on. Like, I feel like so many people just think fit in the run and playing the run is like, just get off the ball and go make the tackle. And that's not what it is. Like, it's a choreographed, like orchestrated dance almost that requires like everyone moving together. Just talk about the science of, how a defense fits the run.
I mean, I think first thing first is, you're going against 11 guys who get paid too to do their job at a high level, right? So like, one, you got to go out there and do your job at a high level, better than the guy across from you. And then, for a great run defense, you need all 11 guys dominating their guys and getting to the football. And it only takes one guy to be out of the gap or one guy to miss a tackle, and it's it's all she wrote. So I just think it looks so simple when you watch it on TV, but at the same time, like everything happens in a split second, especially up front. So you have to be able to really lock in and hone in on what's around you, what formations you see, and stuff like that. And it all comes into everyone doing their job, and if you do that, you'll be successful. But at the same time, you're going against an elite 11 group across from you that you have to also dominate and make sure that you do your job.
Yeah. Right. And so we're now looking at some of the run stop win rates across the league for defensive tackles. And as you guys can see, Ed Oliver and DaQuan are tied at 42%, obviously in the top 10 against the run. And you talked about, that attack-oriented, up-the-field style of defense that you play in. And obviously you're playing alongside one of the more athletic, aggressive, fast. I mean, when you talk about quick twitch, Ed Oliver's that guy. So how do you approach a play when you're standing or playing next to Ed Oliver versus maybe a bigger guy like a Jordan Phillips? Like, how does your mindset change when you're playing the run, when you're playing against next to Ed Oliver or someone else?
I don't really think it changes. I think it's different than pass rush. I would say, but for the run game, no matter who you have over there, I'm all about communication and trying to make sure you're on the same page and making sure that you guys see the same thing in front of you. But as far as technique wise and stuff like that, I don't think anything really changes as far like in the run game. Depending on who lines up with you.
Very fair. DaQuan, I got a quick one for you because I was going to ask basically the same question that Eric did. So great minds think alike. I got this quick one in the chat, and I like it. Rick says, so back in the day, a player named Jim Dunaway played without a face mask. Would you ever consider playing without a face mask on your helmet, DaQuan?
No.
Very fair. That's what I thought.
No.
I like it.
No.
No, offensive linemen, that's like the first thing they do is lead with their head and their face mask.
Yes. No, thank you.
Hard no. Fair enough. Oh, all right. Transitioning to some pass rush pieces for you, DaQuan. And, Eric, as you showed on the previous graphic, the splits with you on and off the field, run defense significantly better. But the pass rush pop that you offered, I think it caught a lot of people by surprise, mainly just because of, the prowess that you had as a run defender and in that game. And like you talked about the previous schemes and systems you came from and how you played, but some of your most impressive snaps on tape, some of them we're going to look at tonight, were your snaps as a pass rusher. And as Eric has in this graphic here, you take a peek. Oh, and AJ says it right there in the chat. This graphic proves why DaQuan being out was so important against the Cincinnati Bengals. Not only is he making an impact himself, he makes others better. That was in relation to the previous graphic. And now we go to this one where, so for everybody looking at home and for DaQuan as well, and for myself and Eric, so on the x-axis there on the bottom, you've got double team rate. And then on the y-axis, you've got pass rush win rate. And Eric sitting here looking at DaQuan, who's pretty much as far over on the double team rate side as you can be, while also being above average in the pass rush win rate column. That just speaks to the kind of year that he had.
Yeah, no doubt. And DaQuan, and as Anthony, alluded to there, and AJ's question also is, yes, you make other players better along the D line and the second level in the run game, but also in the pass rush game. And I think that kind of falls by the wayside a lot, as Anthony said, because of how well you are and how well you play against the run. But if you're getting double teamed at this rate and you're able to still win, that means everyone else is freed up. So talk about how, you guys maybe scheme some things to get those doubles for you, because we know in this defense that nose tackle position is an unselfish position, and a lot of times doesn't get the limelight. We're giving it to you tonight because everything we saw on film from last year from you and in the analytics show this, that you not only produce when you're double teamed, single team, but also you help your teammates around you.
Yeah. I think it starts with a mindset for me. I know my role when it comes to, a situation like this and being with the Bills. We just paid Ed. Ed's our 3 technique, right? He's our golden egg on the D line, and so you're gonna put him in the best situation to win one-on-ones or get him in the one-on-one situation. So no matter what that situation is, I don't really look at that. I don't really get I want the one-on-one rush. I look at it no matter what, I'm gonna win, right? So I try to find the little creaks in kinks in the armor and try to exploit that when I can. So, for me, a double team might look like it's a pass down. I might get double teamed by the guard, right? If I look out to my left and I got Von Miller out there, that guard is going to leave in about 2 seconds. So as soon as he come off, I got to try to come alive and try to get to that quarterback.
That timing, right? Timing is
important. I try to take advantage of those moments. And, Coach Eric Washington did a great job of kind of just teaching that all year. So kind of, falls in the lap of what I like to do anyway. So, kind of, again, just knowing who you're around and knowing when these guys are going to come off and chip off on other guys, and just really take advantage of your one-on-one at that time. It's going to go from 2 to 1, but as soon as that does happen, taking advantage of that, kind of just winning now.
Very well said, man. This has been enlightening, and we haven't even gotten to the meat of the show yet. And now we transition to that piece. So we are in the Cover One film room, and we begin with the film. And DaQuan, we start with a play for you, against the Cleveland Browns, against a quality guard. Eric, you mentioned it offline, Wyatt Teller, that I think Bills fans are familiar with. Eric, go ahead and set up this play for us.
Right. So you guys can see DaQuan is on the outside shoulder of Teller there. And on the snap, Teller tries jump reaching him there and getting to the play side on this little pitch run, more of zone blocking scheme. DaQuan, my question to you on this play is, what is your gap? And secondly, how important is that hand placement? Once you get into your gap, how important is that hand placement as this play strings wide? Because you're able to work back and win back leverage down the line of scrimmage with your footwork and your tenacity down the line of scrimmage. And if you didn't, this is going to be a really big hole for Nick Chubb, who's one of the better cutback runners in the league. So talk about your scheme, your technique, your assignment on this play against Wyatt Teller. Again, one of the premier guards in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, he's great at that reach block. He does a great job of getting that depth and that quickness off the ball. But right here, we're just in a normal 4-3 attack defense. I'm kind of laking off the ball here. And when you get in a situation when you're getting a reach block by the guard, a lot of time guys will kind of panic. As soon as that head gets across, the D-tackle will kind of turn and run to the sideline. And that would actually make it a lot worse than how it looks right here. But where Boogie is right here at 55, if I would have gotten that situation where Boogie is and started running to the sideline, I mean, this play right here probably could have been 88 at the gate. But right here, I got the B gap. He did a good job of getting me at first, and right here, just having a strong hand, a strong punch hand over my gap hand, I was able to control him, kind of drive through at that angle until I got gain control of him. And then once I saw where the ball carrier was, I knew I had enough time to kind of arm over, run flat down the line, and help get on the tackle. And again, here comes T-Dot and Boogie. Boogie didn't start off good, but he pushed and fought, and then T-Dot came down and helped out too with Taryn. So made the ball bounce back to me.
Way to shout out the rest of the teammates on a really good play by you. Well done. You're a good team guy. Appreciate you. You mentioned the get off that Teller has on this play. He gets out of the gate quickly on this snap, and he starts to get across your face a little bit, as you alluded to, and as Eric alluded to as well. When he gets you, Eric, if you go and pause it right there, as he gets across your face a little bit, like you said, like most defensive tackles will panic. And Teller is now, he's trying to turn, he's trying to seal you to create that alley that Eric talked about. When you feel him starting to do that, what's the first thing that goes through your mind? Because you quickly, like Eric said, you quickly take the position where he's got you initially, and you quickly turn him, you reestablish leverage, you turn him parallel to the line of scrimmage and get back into your gap. So as soon as you feel him get across you and start to turn, what clicks in your mind? Do you immediately think like, I know what he's trying to do, and now I have to like flip? Like, just like walk us through once you feel him doing that.
Yeah, I mean, with his speed off the ball, he's trying to, really, give you a solid reach block and really try to seal you off. So as soon as you get in this situation right here, you want to just try to just get a good punch on him and then drive as hard as you can. And right here, we have the advantage of the D tackle. We have more power going forward. He's stepping sideways, trying to hook. So right here, like if you just lock out and drive, you're gonna win that matchup 9 times out of 10, unless he really just got a good job of sealing me in there. And I'm now, to the side of him. But right here, I'm still at a 45 degree angle where I can then just long arm, keep driving back, and eventually just come off and make the tackle.
No, that's a great point. I love that because yes, on zone blocks, it's all about speed off the ball. As you said, it's all about angles and positioning. Whereas in your position, you were using power. You're able to, again, vertically displace him and start to play on his side of the line of scrimmage and the ball still hadn't gone outside of you yet. And so when it did get outside of you, then your teammates were able to force a cutback. You were able to disengage and make the tackle. So that really is a great segue into this play because that was a zone run, on that pitch or toss. This is more of a gap run. The center is executing a back block on you. So I want you to talk about your eyes on this play and what you're keying to uncover this run concept, specifically a gap run where that center is asked to back block on you. So walk us through this play against the Jets.
Yeah. So right here, in this formation, we kind of knew what we are going to get. We're going to get that counter OY. That tight end is going to come across the ball, kick out the nickel. We're going to get a double team on Ed or the down block on Ed. Either way it can go. So right here for me, I knew I was going to get a guard pull, block back on the center. And instead of like trying to get off the ball and really run up the field, that center, how he's blocking, all he had to do was kind of like long arm me and kind of wash me up the field. I would then create a bigger gap, in the A gap to the B gap, to the new B gap. So right here, I decided to play more like a hand get off and try to shock and shed as violently as I can to kind of shock that guy. And as soon as I feel him kind of lean forward to resync, just kind of arm over and go aggressive off the backside. And, the front side of the defense did a hell of a job of setting the edge here with Shaq. And, made this easy for me. Yeah,
you had several guys to the ball, as you talked about in the last play. Everyone was pursuing, on this play, on this strong side gap run that, as you said, that counter OY. It's just it was muddied up from the get-go. And, you were playing that tight shade here, so, kind of tilted. So you were very close to the running back once he received the ball in this slow developing play as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And, my biggest point, we talked about this offline, it's the red sleeves for me, but I'm going to leave that conversation for another time. On this one, so obviously the arm over, center goes to the ground, and you shed him so quickly. But for me, it's the initial leverage that you establish. You get underneath the center and almost stand him like completely straight up, and he's just in a prone position, and you're under him. You got your hands, the pop off the bat, like you mentioned, that, kind of the shock and shed hands, and your eyes are in the backfield. Just talk about the importance of leverage on this play and how it allows you to win this rep from the jump, because you get under him and you take all his power and momentum away, and he's just kind of a sitting duck. And then you literally just, because he's got no leverage and he's got no power to him, you just shed and chuck him to the ground. Just talk about your leverage here.
Yeah, I mean, for me, playing with hands is key. I mean, I think, if you don't play with hands as a D-tackle in the league, you're not going to be here for that long. So for me, I take pride in trying to, how quickly can I get my hand from the ground to the guy's chest. And again, knowing the situation and knowing what kind of block I'm going to get, I'm I'm over anticipating for it. The knock him back as soon as I feel him, feel light in the ass. Now I'm snatching him, come off the block. And so, for me, it's very important. For me, life or death in there really with hands. If you don't have good hands, man, they're gonna get you up out of there.
Right. And, we've said it several times in this film room, the Bills defense, especially along the D line, it's attack oriented. It's up the field. It's aggressive. They want you playing fast. And this is one of those plays that could really be used against you. It's against the Packers. And, if in some other defenses, hey, they're kind of inviting you up the field. And sometimes maybe you get a little too deep and then boom, they have the leverage and numbers up the middle. Taron Johnson, obviously playing in the box here, which is something that, you guys also have to, you guys do a lot of, is have Taron in the box. But talk about how, the aggressive style defense could be used against you in run to pass or pass run scenarios, because on this play, to me, it looks like you're processing, hey, is this going to be a run or a pass? Or is that kind of that play action look to it? So talk about maybe even the depth that you're supposed to be at on these type of plays as you're processing run to pass or pass to run.
Yeah, when you get a team like this that's trying to get you to fly up the field, I mean, it's all comes off field. You do drills all the time, individual about, come off the ball and kind of reading that block or getting. And, I got a base block right here. He wasn't really trying to move me off the spot. He was kind of working up the field. Once I felt that, it's easier to pry open his shoulder with your gap hand and then go to a wrist or elbow control to kind of just, slightly just nudge it off you, and then, going for the tackle. But, teams like to do this all the time. That's why I like to play with a little bit of tilt, just so I'm not too, square up the field, where then if I'm doing that, he can kind of just, high arm me by and shoot me up the field, and then we're kind of in trouble here. But, just be able to feel this play. I mean, we work on this all the time in practice, so it was kind of just second nature at that point.
Beautiful. You've mentioned multiple times now throughout the clip so far, you talk about the feel and, feel and recognition and all those pieces. Talk about on this one, I guess just, using this as an example, like that feel. Is it from a hand placement perspective of the offensive lineman? Is it overall body position? Is it, feel, but really you recognizing what's going on in front of you? Like, what's triggering for you on this play when you talk about like feel? Is it just literally you reading it, or like what is it that actual feel? Like, just talk about that and how you kind of, because it allows you to make the play.
So like the Cleveland clip where the guard really got his head across, right? Like that was a kind of like an oh shit moment, right? It's like, okay, he's reaching me. I got to drive him back there. This one, you get off the ball, you kind of feel him on your inside, but he's not kicking back, so it's not a pass, and he's trying to just high wall you up there. It's more like a draw right here, right? So like, okay, I gotta stop, retrace, and come back and help make the tackle and try to skinny the gap as much as I can. So again, it's like all drills you do, screen drills, draw drills. It's kind of just a draw block right here, and you kind of just have to feel that out, kind of react to it.
All right, on to the next play, and this is one I think Anthony and I have shown on Twitter probably 5 to 10 times each. It's a move that we talk about a lot. It's that hump move. You're inside, just inside the right guard there, and guys can see how play in slow motion. Just throws. I think that's Hunt at right guard there. But let me start off with what they're trying to do to you on this play, and maybe that is probably how you sensed or felt it is. These teams, a lot of times, as you saw in that Jets film, they ran the counterplay to the powers, to the strength of the formation, to the tight end side. The Dolphins do a little bit different here because they attack the weak side bubble right here, and that's the area from Greg Rousseau to DaQuan here. So DaQuan, talk about teams attacking the weak side bubble, and first, like, where did you learn this move? Because you use it a lot in the run game, and it's something that more times than not, when people talk about this hump move or even a club move, it's usually used as a pass rush move, but you incorporate it into the run game. So where'd you learn it, and what made you throw it here against the Dolphins?
It just comes down to film study for me. Yeah. You watch film and you see how a guard blocks, certainly on how he blocks on certain plays. For a guard, for old lineman in this situation, it's kind of like a tee-off moment, right? That guard is trying to ear hold the hell of that nose guard and wash him all the way down, right? Mm-hmm. the center's going away fast. So normally at the nose, you kind of chase that. You want to get vertical, but you have a hard time of breaking that habit of chasing that. So you kind of step with them. But in this formation here is just like the Jets one, right? So I kind of knew it was coming. The formation, you got a tight end. He's off the ball. He's deep. So I'm thinking some type of counter action here. That's why I widened out actually to the guard. Know I'm going to step down and kind of bait him, and then have him kind of use his momentum against him and kind of throw him by. These blocks are kind of annoying to play because if you try to play it vertical, you can still get washed down there. You play with your hands, you can kind of still get stalemated. At that time, he's just trying to high wall you, just like the Green Bay clip on the draw play. The same kind of concept. I'm trying to high wall you, get you up the field, so I can create a bigger B gap. So sometimes depending on that guard, how aggressive he is, you can kind of just play quickly across the face, or you can beat it through the A gap. So, but knowing this guy, playing him twice that year, I knew he came down aggressive. So I told myself next time we play him, we get the block. I'm gonna do this. So,
damn, that was that was literally my question with how because your get off the ball here is so strong and you step so hard inside. So you're purposefully setting him up here because he tries to match you with how quick you come off the ball, and it leads him to being too far out in front of his feet, which makes it so easy for you to just club him right by. So you anticipated this, you saw this coming, and you set him up with that quick get off the line of scrimmage in order to create this, right?
Yeah, I mean, in my mind right here, like with the running back is, I know the ball is going to go, to my right? And if say they just hand the ball off, if I step down and get vertical up the field, like where he is, I'm still okay in my mind, right? So like for me, I'm like, well, if I do this, say they do like a play action pass, which they do it a lot. If I do a play action pass, it's right. So in my thing, now it's a gamble. Now I'm like, okay, well, 2 out of 3 plays I do it too, it won't hurt. The one play if I do it, he keeps the ball front side, we might be in trouble. Right, but at the same time, it's a gamble, film study, knowing what's coming, knowing what they're doing all game. And I want to say this game, they were having their way with a run game. So just knowing they did it a couple times and just trying to get a good stop.
And one other follow up on this, because again, you're inside the guard here, and you sensed that the center was going away. But again, your eyes, like, how are you guys taught to read these blocking concepts? Like, are you reading footwork? Are you reading body language? A little bit of both. Like, is there a certain process that you have to go through as the ball is snapped? You're processing, okay, now it's run. Now, how are you diagnosing what type of run it is and what block you're going to see?
Yeah, for this typical play right here, I mean, really just get off the ball. I mean, our coach wants you to kind of, with 68 right here, like if that was Ed in there, Ed's going to try to knock off that polar and make sure that he never gets to the outside and blows up. We just play it differently, right? So that's Ed there. He's getting off the ball and going to the field. I'm supposed to be doing the same thing, but I tell people all the time, watching a lot of films, kind of like a double-edged sword, because you kind of see things and kind of play for things and stuff like that. So I'm heavy on film, and I love the kind of pick and choose my moments throughout the game or throughout the season, what I can do, what I can't do. And again, just came down to the moment of film study, seeing it, and then taking advantage of it.
Right, and we talked about you incorporating that hump move against the run, but you also use it against the pass. And here's one against the Steelers. This is a play where you guys sent 5 on this play, and you used it against the center. And my question on this play is, was this your job to occupy the center? Were you supposed to get down the center of him or get into the opposite A gap? And if so, again, why did you choose to come back inside? Because it looks like they're running some kind of game off the side here with DaQuan coming off the edge and Shaq Lawson coming. So you guys were attacking this protection. So is this the protection you expected? And what led to this counter from you right there, just kind of throwing that center there, again, creating that disruption, and then the interception on the back end, or the incomplete pass on the back end?
Yeah, for this play right here, we have a open side pressure, and we wanted to. We knew we were going to get the one-on-one all across the board, right? We wanted to get that fan protection, the kick out. And for me, I was ready to work across face and win in that A gap, but he didn't give me an aggressive punch set. He kind of just came out and floated with me. So when I came across to kind of pin his outside arm, he pulled it away, and so when I went to go dip and rip, he kind of just leaned on me, and I just if I wanted to do this move, I had to do it quick and make sure I threw it hard enough where I can keep my vertical path and not knock off Crane on a two-way go, because he technically has the rights to that from that B to A. So I got to make sure that I get over to my A gap and close it off. But when I came over and saw him kind of just mirroring me, I just knew I can hump him, take him for a ride, and kind of get vertical off his hip.
Ooh, talk about, so you mentioned we talked about this a little earlier with the science of like run fits from a perspective, but here from a pass rush perspective, like you mentioned right now, like maintaining your gap and not getting in the way of like your fellow like rushers. Talk about that piece of how, especially with how it connects to the previous play where you talk about film study and what you're recognizing and you take gambles from time to time, but talk about how, even though you're trying to win your matchup, talk about how you still have to play within the scheme and the rest of, your down linemen and the rushers. And I guess DaQuan in this instance with the blitz, like, because you're trying to win, but you're not trying to screw up the game or trying to screw up what your teammates are doing. Just talk about how that all works in sync.
Yeah, I think it's huge. One of my favorite things is kind of winning within the framework of the defense. And so no matter what the defensive call is, making sure you take advantage of your one-on-one when it comes to you. And so, like an example, like AJ over here on the left side or right side, how you see it.
Yep.
Like we got an open side, pressure coming. So you want to make sure you have your best get off, best edge rush. So that way, if he does get flushed out, or if the two guys come up the edge, kind of go up underneath, he kind of runs out to the sideline. It's a chase down sack from behind. So just kind of knowing what the defense is and knowing how you can take advantage of it out there in the field, and make sure that everyone's working together and doing a job.
Yeah, I love this play, and again that poetry as we talked about, and the choreography that goes into this, as you said, that open side pressure from the field off the right side of the screen, and how AJ Epinez's job and how he's got to worry and what he has to worry about. So many things go into these type of plays that yes, it's an incomplete pass on the back end, but so many things up front go into these plays. And this is the final play of this breakdown, and it's a similar movement, man, by you to start. You initially stab inside, but then kind of, swimmer arm over the guy back into that B gap. So again, you're stacking this, this move, and you use the hump, that hump move on a couple of those plays, whether it was run or pass, but you also started it off in the same way. So talk about this play where you got a sack, and, was this planned, or were you just, again, feeling that guy out, or just waiting on that timing of that center to eventually slide to go help on Ed Oliver? Like, what went into this play in as far as your scheme, your technique, and your assignment?
Yeah, no, this wasn't planned at first. I hit the right guard with a similar move like a couple plays before, and but this week the O-line kind of got banged up, so they were communicating a lot the line of scrimmage. So they gave like a Rita Linda call, and at the snap of the ball, I heard the call, so I knew he was gonna come down on me pretty aggressively. So I wanted to kind of just step in and bait him down and get him to kind of overcommit and try to punch me, and that's why I kind of just stepped down and kind of do a hump move back to the B gap.
Ooh. Talk about that piece of, so you hear that Rita Linda call, and that kind of keys you in on what they're about to do. Talk about the pre-snap communication pieces from the offense, like, how much are you cluing in on stuff like that and keying in on stuff like that? And how much do you try to focus on it to allow you to make plays like this? Like, are you really is that just a standard staple for your game? Like every single snap you're trying to key in on what they're communicating?
Yeah. I mean, for me, not everyone can do it. It can get very, messy out there, but for me, I like to listen to the cadence, because I like to hear, especially if you go with someone like, Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, his cadence is crazy. Like, he don't jump a lot, right? So like for me, the more I can actually stay in tune to his cadence and his voice fluctuation, like it kind of gives me a better sense of where I'm at, and and as far as come off the ball and making sure that I don't get that that pre-snap penalty. So for me, it helps me out a lot in that way. At the same time, you got 5 guys up here trying to work as one, so they have to communicate at some point. So they might lie to you sometimes. They might give you dummy calls, fake calls, but at the course of the game, when it gotta have it, you kind of pick up on those kind of calls, and you kind of just put it all together at the end of the day and take advantage of it when you can.
And finally, real quick, you mentioned, Rita, Linda. That's a common pass protection that even the Bills run on offense. And so while I try to find the diagram on that, kind of talk about what type of protection that is. Is that a split protection where you have, three offensive linemen going to one side, two to the other, four-man slide with the isolated tackle, right tackle there versus Von Miller? Like, what is that type of protection when you're talking to Rita and Linda?
Yeah, so right here, we just got like a simple turn protection where they're going to the three technique. So if I hear like a Linda and Ed's the three technique over there, I know he's gonna get the turn the protection to him. So I know I then get the one-on-one in the guard. Again, it's kind of crazy that you have Von Miller over to the left and then go the other way. So you kind of plan for that, but they didn't do it. Whatever, so you guys just take advantage of it when you can. But yeah, I mean, really, it's pretty straightforward when it goes Rita Linda, like you said. But sometimes when you get like a full line slide or anything like that, it's kind of like a, you're trying to give up our stuff, but it's a different type of word, you know what I mean? So you kind of know what it is. They're kind of universal, they're kind of different, but at the same time they're very similar. So throughout the course of the game, you kind of pick those up and kind of can just take advantage of that and go from there. But the good centers, they go up and then they whisper at the to the side and they tell the guards and the guards to the tackle. So they do a good job of hiding it pretty well at the end of the day.
You mentioned the dummy call piece. How often do offenses, use those dummy calls? Because I would think that's got to be like some Jedi mind tricks there where you're sitting there like, are they saying that out loud, on purpose to try and fool me? Or am I picking up on what's going on? Like for your estimation, like how often do you think offenses are using those dummy calls?
I mean, I think it all depends on your personnel, to be completely honest with you. Like I feel like, someone like the Chiefs, right? I mean, I feel their offensive cadence is pretty simple, but at the same time, they got Patrick Mahomes back there, so he makes it work. You know what I mean? That ball's coming out quick. You can know where they're going, but you're still not getting back there. You know what I mean? The ball's out now. So I think it just depends on who your personnel is, who your quarterback, what he can do, what he cannot do. I think it kind of all plays a part in it.
Cool. Very insightful. As we knew this would be sitting down with you, we loved having you on in season last year. We were excited to have you on again this year. So you crushed it as we anticipated. And what we always like to do anytime we have somebody on the show, is kind of let you kind of plug your stuff and whatever you got going on in your world. And actually, this ties into a question that we got earlier. So a question for you, DaQuan, was, are you taking home the championship for your Cornhole Classic back in Binghamton? And that ties into some stuff, we want to give you opportunity to promo. I know Eric's got a graphic for it that shows you in those amazing red sleeves. Just talk about the Cornhole Classic and, whatever you got.
Me and my high school coach, Joe Sheevy, he's been a tremendous help with me setting this up back home. We're doing it at Touch of Texas, and I've been there before in the off season. I kind of did like a open cornhole competition. And I loved it, and really I just got thank Deion Dawkins, because last year during training camp he put me on the cornhole, and I've been addicted. I've been wanting to play all the time. I play all the time, I'm happy to announce that July 22nd I'll be doing it back home in my hometown. Awesome. And I have AJ Panessa coming, and I think we just confirmed Terrell Dawson too, so he's gonna go up there too. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited and can't wait to go up there and win and bring it home.
Nice. Awesome. DaQuan, and once again, man, we appreciate you jumping into the film room with us, dropping some knowledge, dropping some wisdom to not just only us, but all the fans and people that are watching on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. Once again, thank you, and hopefully we get to see you and chop it up a little bit at camp here in a couple of weeks out at St. John Fisher College here in a couple of weeks. So once again, man, thank you, and good luck this season, brother.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, man. Have a good one, DaQuan.
All right. Later.
Damn.
Awesome stuff again, man. Awesome stuff, right? And like, this is why we do this. We try to take that complex game and make it digestible for the average fan. And, DaQuan does it so easy. It's second nature to him, especially in his second year, going into the second year in this defense. And obviously, as you said, year 10, another awesome film room. leading into camp, man. We're gonna be, you know, doing this again. Hopefully we get one final guest before camp. I mean, each guest, they keep knocking it out of the park, bro.
There's so much insight, and it's really cool, especially when you get an episode like this or a guest like this, because there's been certain pieces, and every person we've had, especially these last several weeks, but this really goes for all the players that we have in here. Like, some of them confirm things that, you know, we had thought, or we were, you know, looking for confirmation for. Some of them give us insight and pieces. And I really, in this one, I just had so many questions about, like, because he was winning in such impressive ways that I would be like, was that planned? Like, was he adjusting in the moment? Like, what was going on? And his ability to just, and this has been a common theme with Kyer the past couple of weeks and Greg Rousseau the past couple of weeks, like the ability of these guys to articulate their ability and what they're doing and what's happening in the play and why they are making the move that they're making and what they're doing and all of those pieces, like their ability to, again, they're not just doing what they're not just out there acting. They're not just like, oh man, like, no, I don't know. I'm big and strong and I just made a play. Like, there's a mental side to it. There's that football IQ piece. And it was just awesome to have another guy in here who was physically dominant last year, but you saw him be able to articulate why and connect it to the mental side of the game, and just really impressive.
Right. And it's in both phases, right? It's in the run and the pass game. You know, naturally, a nose tackle in the Bills defense is going to see a lot of double teams just because he's a nose tackle. He's either playing inside shoulder of the guard, getting a good look at the guard and center, or he's just a shade on the center, playing outside shoulder of the center and getting the guard coming over to hit him. So they're going to see double teams, but he sees those double teams, freeing up his teammates, but he also wins versus them. That's what is so amazing. And it's not talked about enough. It's not talked about enough when it comes to the Bills or across the league, how often he wins versus double teams, especially in the pass rush game, when really he is seen by most people as just a run defender. And as AJ said to start the show, he was missed sorely in that last game against Cincinnati. Everyone knew it. Everyone felt it. Everyone saw it. And those stats can tell you why and back it up. And that film that he broke down can show you why and how important he is, whether it's the run or the pass game.
It was something that was really unfortunate because we had been championing him all year and really all offseason, going back to, again, when you ID'd him in our free agent focus episode, like the, you know, guys we wanted to see brought in, he was your pick on the interior. And, you know, so you'd been championing him even longer. And then he came in just honestly guns blazing and had such a strong year. And we kept saying so much on this show and on Twitter, like, he's super important. He's super important. He's super important. And there were so many other storylines last year with this team that I think he, again, a guy who does the dirty work and wins in certain ways, isn't going to be this focal point in this huge storyline. And then you go into a game that's the biggest game of the year because it's the next playoff game and he's out. And all of a sudden, everybody kind of wakes up to his importance and wakes up to how integral he was to how this defense functioned. And it was unfortunate that it took that game for people to kind of understand what he meant to this defense. But the good news is he's back for another year. And I think people will get to appreciate his game more and keep an eye out more for him because, you know, what we showed in this film room, these weren't just one-off clips. Like, these were representations that are indicative of who he was as a player in a year, Eric, like he mentioned, which was super insightful, like in a year where he had to almost unlearn like 8 years of technique from how he was two-gapping and what he was doing before. So imagine what he can do going into a year where he doesn't have to relearn everything. He's comfortable. He's in where he was last year. Imagine how much better he'll be knowing that he's more comfortable mentally.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. That was another insightful film room session. Unfortunately, on my end, guys, like a peek behind the curtain, the last two plays and clips, I had issues hearing both DaQuan and Anthony. It was so choppy. And now, like, I'm even getting some comments that some people were kicked out. So if you got kicked out, sorry about that. I don't know, some kind of issue with our network or host. But I couldn't hear what they were saying at all. But we're good now. Unfortunately, DaQuan's gone now. But if there are any issues, we appreciate you guys sticking with us. And if you missed anything, jump back into the film. It's there. It's off season. You got a couple more weeks before we get to training camp. And with that said, we're going to be out there to camp. We're going to be out there at the scrimmage. Periodically, guys from the network will be there throughout camp and for the scrimmage. We're going to try to do a Cover One meetup. So if you're in and around Western New York, Friday, July 28th, we're going to do a meetup with other Bills content creators, and we want you guys to join us. Stay tuned for the venue. I've been working the last week or so to nail down a venue. It's going to be in Buffalo, likely in the downtown area.
Applebee's.
No, I love their wings. What do you mean?
Dude, I do like Applebee's. I would be super cool with it. The quesadilla and fries from Applebee's, I'd be super cool with that.
So we're going to do a meetup, we want you guys to join us. But again, stay tuned for that venue and location, but keep Friday, July 28th open. We're going to be out to camp those first few days, but then Friday night to Saturday, they don't have practice. So Friday night, we're all driving into Buffalo and having this meetup. So keep that day free right around 6 p.m. We'll be out there for a few hours. I mean, we got, Kyle Trimble from Banged Up Bills, Drew and Chris from Rock Pile Report. I mean, we got Pat Moran. He's going to be joining. Like, there's a bunch of guys that we all get together with every single year to do a meetup. Everyone's favorite, Nate Geary, he'll probably be there. So, we love to do these things, and we couldn't do this without you guys. And, we appreciate all the support and the guys that joined us here. This off season, it's been a rough off season from a content creator standpoint with some of the stories that have come up and stuff that we don't in the film room. We don't like to cover, we just want to talk football. We want to talk film. We appreciate you guys that, take value in that and value that type of information and knowledge. And you guys keep coming back, to support us. And we appreciate that. And if you keep doing that, we'll keep supplying guys like DaQuan Jones, Kyler Elam, and other Bills. We're just working our way through the roster every year, every offseason, and we seem to get, a few extra guys. So with your support, we'll keep doing it. You keep eating it up. We'll keep putting everything down for you here at Cover One.
Yeah, you hit it on the head, and we say it almost, actually not even almost, like we literally say it like every single episode. Like, what we do is only possible because of the support we get from you folks in whatever form or fashion it comes in. If you are a One Pass member, that's absolutely tremendous. If you are someone who just watches the content every week and subscribes and likes and shares, or even the old school method of just word of mouth, like you're telling your boy or your girl or whoever, like, oh, you ever heard of Cover One? You ever checked out this? Like, your support means sincerely more than you folks will ever know. And again, whatever form or fashion that it comes in. And whenever we can have these, meetups, whether it's at camp or at a game or at scrimmages or like what we're doing on Friday night, July 28th, which I'm very excited for because last year I was out of town for it. So I'm pumped for this year. It's always cool to have these opportunities to meet whoever we can from the content creation piece. But a lot of it is like who we can meet from our support system for what you guys are to us. So, and we've talked about it all the time. Like I've met player or Slack channel members and just people on Twitter, like who I genuinely value, and being able to meet them at camp or practices, let alone in an actual, just like hangout, let loose kind of environment.
So
like,
cool.
It's a tremendous thing. Like you folks mean a lot to us. And if you are in town, swing by, Applebee's, whichever one we decide to go to. We'll get some margs and some Dias and some fries and hang out. But no, wherever it's going to be, we're excited to communicate that piece.
And Anthony, I want to bring this up. RJ's, this is a good segue. We're talking about bringing players on. He says, in another life, Dion is a professional cornhole player. Dion Dawkins, he's the guy I'm working on for next week. So he says it's about time. Let's get it done. So we're going to try to get him into the film room. Again, the trenches, like the guys in the trenches want to come in and talk ball, whether it's offensive.
They get no shine. No one ever wants to speak to them. Like
maybe that's why they're doing it. Then they're like, you know what? Yeah, I'd like to come in there and get some love there, whether it's the analytics or film. But no, Dion, he and I have been working on it the last couple of weeks, and hopefully we can get him in again before camp. We appreciate all the kind words in the chat room, all the comments that you guys leave throughout the year. We're ramping up for the season. But you guys are the ones that carry the show, carry us through the off season. We couldn't do this without you. Once again, we say it all the time, but it's
True.
so true. Everything that you see when it comes to the graphics and us being able to do this live with you guys and interact with you guys, the film, the graphics that we bring up, thanks to Andrew Stasel, our analytics guy, like all of these little things that make up a show we're able to do it because of you guys. So thank you for the support. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave us comments to help the algorithm, all of that. And if you really want to help us, become an insider, get to cover1.football, become an insider, join the Slack channel, join our community, become family, because that's what everyone that becomes an insider is. You guys become our family who we interact with every single day.
Absolutely. I don't think I could have said it any better than that. So thank you to everybody who joined us live in this episode. If you did not join us live, that's cool. Thank you for your post-live view, listen, download, whatever have you. If you are watching on YouTube live or post-live, like Eric mentioned, please, 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 and thank you, drop a like on this video. Likes are the lifeblood of streams and with how they impact the algorithm. So please drop a like on this video if you'd be so kind. If you are listening on one of the podcasting apps or platforms, that's cool too. Please rate and review and subscribe, whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever your flavor or taste for podcasting app. Please drop a rating and a review and subscription there. Subscribe here on YouTube as well. And then also take a peek at the Cover One channel as a whole. We have you covered literally 6 days a week with content. Sunday's the kind of off day, but who knows, as the season starts to ramp up, there's different videos and different extra content that gets dropped. So check out the entire channel as a whole. And like Eric said, we appreciate you folks more than you know. Thank you to everybody for all the kind words tonight, for the support for DaQuan. Thank you again to DaQuan Jones for taking time out. Like it's wild how natural, like he came in 10 minutes early and we're just kind of like shooting the shit and kind of just hanging out. And it's like wild to be like, he's in the NFL just like in his off season and he's just cool to come and like chill and talk ball with us. Like that's
and he's down to earth and a monster at the same time.
Yeah, like he's the coolest dude. I'd be like, yeah, I want to hang out with him. And then at the same time, I'd be like, I don't want to make him mad. Like, because he's a monster. Yeah, just
us standing next to him is like Kevin Hart next to The Rock. You know what I mean? Like,
bro. Or like when we were next to Osiris Torrance at the Senior Bowl. Just both of us kind of looking at each other and like pointing, like, dude, he's
looking up at him.
Yeah, really. Like, interview would be like, hey man, so what was your day like today? Yeah, just absolutely wild. Tremendous guest as always, and again within the scope of this brand that you started from nothing and from the ground up. So anytime we have these awesome experiences, you deserve an extra kudos more than you already do for creating this space and this environment and this atmosphere. So absolutely tremendous shout out to you. Shout out to DaQuan, all the supporters in the Cover One universe and the One Pass universe and whatever have you. That'll do it for us here in this episode. We hope you and your family and friends and loved ones are all doing well. Stay safe, be kind to one another, take care of one another. We will see you next Wednesday, July 19th, for another live episode at 7 p.m. Eastern of the Cover One Film Room with a potential special guest that we just alluded to. You'll have to tune in next Wednesday to see. And then before you know it, Eric, like you mentioned, the week after that, training camp starts and the season is right around the corner, and there's nowhere else you need to be for your content than here with us in the film room and with Cover One as a whole. So for myself, Anthony Prohaska, for Eric Turner, for DaQuan Jones, this has been another episode of the Cover One Film Room. Godspeed, and as always,